What's going on, everybody? On my X, coming back at you. Episode number 14 now. Crazy to think we're 14 weeks into doing this. All of us. I'm super happy and proud that we made it this far, and we're going to continue to keep going. So, Goofy here, Faisal Khan, joined by my friends and co-hosts, of course, starting with Hunter JJX, aka Justin Joseph. How you doing, Justin? How was your week, man?
I'm doing good, man. It was a solid week. Also a solid week for Halo Esports. So a lot of fun, exciting stuff going on. I watched my homie Tom Brady get absolutely spanked yesterday. So that was kind of a weird way to end the week.
That was a bad look.
That was a bad way to end the week. But outside of that, it was a pretty fun week, man.
Awesome. And of course, we got Clutch, aka Wes Price, the man, the myth, the legend. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Interesting week, busy weekend, but we're here now. Finally made it to On My X. Got the dog in the back. I think I heard her chewing on her bone. She's chilling. Popsicle taking a nap. But ready to get this rolling.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was gonna say at this episode, at this point it wouldn't be an On My X episode without the Doge hanging in the back. So
right, she's typically there.
The fourth member of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much the same, man. I had a good week. We'll get into it, but I was able to secure a little bit of a win in the Halo 3 realm of things. So we'll talk about that. You see Justin there. We had a good series, so we'll talk about it. But yeah, man, it was a good week. Just busy with work, and a lot of Halo stuff happened this weekend, and we're gonna, get ready to dive right into it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a fun week, like I said earlier, in Halo Esports. So I guess we'll just break down. We'll start with Friday for all of you listeners out there. We jumped back into Halo competition this week after the bye week that was last week. Friday, things were back in full swing on the MCC Pro Series, which, if you guys don't know, obviously they're still running Halo 3 tournaments on Friday, so make sure you guys sign up for those. They've been an absolute blast. In the finals, though, we had a bit of a bounce back for Faisal and the Warrior squad as they reverse swept H3 team, Lethal and APG and friends. Faisal, like, when you're playing against a team of that caliber in the finals, what does it kind of mean to be able to come back in that way? And does it feel like what kind of challenge is that?
Yeah, as a competitor, when I'm in the final, especially in a game like Halo 3, I do not see it like, going up against these guys, hopefully we can edge it out. And that's not my mindset at all. I'm going in there, especially with my squad that I have, like, confident and ready to win. Right. So obviously those guys being the back-to-back winners, and just as Halo 3 players themselves, they're really, really good. So beating them in, like, the way we beat them was amazing. And that's always, like, an awesome way to end a tournament. But yeah, man, it was a good series, and I'm sure those guys are, getting ready to bounce back for the next one. And, we're going to be ready as well. So it's just going to be fun to keep these Halo 3 tournaments going, man. I love it.
Dude, Wes, what's it like being on the bench on the sidelines watching all these Halo 3 tournaments go down when you are the champ, man? Like,
Yeah, you want to compete in these things. It's definitely a super high level of Halo 3 going on, and being a part of that's always fun. It's about those bragging rights, right, that Faisal's getting to have, and it's like, man, you want to get yourself into one of those games at some point in time and dust off the sticks. But like I said, there's a super high level going on. It's always an enjoyable finals to watch when those two teams, specifically to me, match up against each other. I think I always just like the Ryan Noob brand of Halo. And when you watch them go against some of the greats, it's always a good time. But it's something that I can't continue to watch, and I might have to dust off my sticks is if I see more videos of Faisal yelling Warriors like he's back to being 15 years old, because I'm going to have to do something about this.
I was telling Faisal, I was like, this is probably like the second or third week pretty much in a row that this man has, like, ripped my heart out of my chest, man. Like, these series have just been, like, so close, such nail biters, man.
Though. All props to my teammates. Those guys are playing some really good Halo the past few tournaments.
You guys just clutch up every time. It feels like, when you have those games where it's like, this is do or die. And then, especially, like I said, in those finals being down 2-0, you guys were able to clutch 3 games back to back. So
exactly, it's just a one game at a time mentality. I mean, as players, all of us know it. It's just chip away, keep playing your hands, and it's it's when it's like that high level competition, Halo, and two teams that all 4 players know how to win. It's just a matter of, like, who makes a small mistake, like who makes less mistakes.
Who makes the play?
Yeah, it's just like a game of chess, and then you got to capitalize. You know, obviously you guys know this too, but it's always fun to be a part of. And Wes, to your point, man, the Halo 3 on PC with the new update, I can't state enough. People watching the show, and I know I get it. You know, like we're waiting for Infinite. If anything, a lot of people are playing Halo 5 now. Any option's good, but if you're trying to play something smooth and this old school style Halo, play Halo 3, man. Play this new update on the PC. It's smooth as butter. It's so fun where I'm literally like, I stream every day, right? So sometimes it's hard for me to find games in hardcore, or even if I'm just not in the mood to be playing super competitively, I'll just be playing like random Recon Slayer or Social Slayer games, and it's just a fun time. So definitely check it out if y'all are watching the show. Play some Halo 3, man.
It's by far the most fun I've ever had, like competing online in any Halo game ever. And like as someone who's always been a diehard Halo 2 fan, I got like this version of Halo 3 is special, man. Like, it is so much fun to just jump on and play, whether you're playing matchmaking, customs, tournaments, whatever. You know, one of the things I just have to bring it up. One of the things that I talked about on the when you guys were on the Last Dance squad in that you know, that big MCC tournament, one of the things that I noticed about your game specifically, Faisal, was like, Faisal is an absolute nightmare in the other team's mauler. I was like, if Faisal's in your mauler, it's a bad time, dude. And I gotta say, I experienced that for myself on Friday. It was like, God, dude, somebody get Faisal out of this mauler, dude. He's stopping flags by himself. We got at least like 3 flags back to our side. We couldn't cap. Just like a amazing, like annoying style of play that you've kind of mastered, man, and branded yourself, you know, with. And so, you know, GG's as always, a great series. But I think we're ready to jump into the main event, which was Saturday. Wes, it was the Halo 5. It was our first HCS Halo 5 championship in a number of years. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of how things played out and what your overall, you know, perception of the tournament was?
Yeah, overall, very, very high level of Halo 5 being played. It was pretty much known that we were going to have 3 teams compete, and fortunately for us, we kind of got a great set of semifinals matches. We actually had obviously Sentinels versus what did they play? They played Inconceivable. That's right. I'm sorry. We had Sentinels versus Inconceivable, and that actually was the lesser of the 2 series because we saw Cloud9 go up against Kansas City Pioneers on the other side.
That was a heater.
And that was one of the wildest series I've ever been able to like cast or been able to see in all of Halo 5. I think Kansas City Pioneers really did come out and play extremely strong. I think they proved to the community that they can compete with everybody because Cloud9 was playing at such a high level all day long.
I still feel like they won that series low key. I'm like, wait, they didn't win that series?
Multiple games that they let slip through just like the fingernail of their hand. And it was just a wild experience. And it sucks for those guys. I know we touched on it on the show a little bit that losing those series is so hard because we're so close to accomplishing that goal and beating one of those top teams. But they'll have to go back to the drawing board, and I'm sure that they'll have plenty of opportunities here in the future to kind of make up for the mistakes that they've made throughout those games in order to lose that series. But like I said, unbelievable series. We saw multiple game 5s. We saw a game 5 between Cloud9 and Sentinels to decide their pool, and then Sentinels comes back in the finals and actually takes the whole thing. Roll 2 really making a statement with his gameplay, I think, in those finals and really stepping up to the plate and playing extremely well in the later of that day. Really pushed Sentinels over the edge, and it was kind of refreshing to see Roll 2 back in the groove of things because I feel like it's been a while now that he's kind of been good but not the best player in the game. And I think in that finals, it was like, yeah, he's still the best.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of mentioned it on the last episode. There's something about Sentinels in like a championship sort of environment that's just different, right? Those guys always seem to turn up. But before I get to them, I feel like, you know, first of all, got to give our props to KC Pioneers like you did, man. Those guys really showed up and showed out.
I tried to tell you guys.
Yeah, you did.
I tried. I heard rumors of flyers. I heard the falling. I heard so many different just rebuttals, and I said Kansas City Pioneers.
Yeah, and I'm here to sort of, you know, apologize to them, but also acknowledge that they have kind of, in my head at least, solidified themselves as that 4th best team. And we saw they could easily have been in the top two. It kind of feels like one of those scenarios where, Wes, you would know about this a lot, having been around the scene for quite a while, where there are those up and comers, like those gunners that are on their way up, and eventually they're going to be there, but it's just not quite their time yet. Like, it's so close, but they just haven't, figured out the way to just finally close out one of those like major series. But we all know those guys are going to be doing some special things with the rest of H5 and Infinite if they keep on with the work ethic that they kind of have. So, Faisal, what kind of stood out to you about the way this whole thing kind of played out?
Yeah, no, I think Wes did a good job kind of breaking it down, but same as you, Justin. KC Pioneers, I said it on the broadcast. They showed me that they can play, and they do play at such a high level when it matters most. Right now, it would have been better. Their case would have been stronger if they were able to close out that series. That is what I was alluding to when I was putting them, not giving them the benefit of the doubt, was that they haven't really moved up that. I don't want to say moved up that tier, but they're still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to really solidify themselves as an opponent to be feared. But like I said, that series against Cloud9 to make it to the grand finals was so close, man. I was commentating that series, and that Plaza Strongholds game, they were up like 91 to like 60. They were just getting perfect. We would switch screens. It'd be like Talik gets a perfect, Soul Snipe gets a perfect. They're just out shooting everyone on Cloud9. And then one thing went wrong and they all died, and Cloud9 got a triple cap. And then that's where the panic and it all went downhill from there. And they couldn't really just pull it together and make an organized good push to stop the bleeding and get the 2 cap back. And then they lost that game number 5 in the semifinals. They were up, and then they barely lost at the end. They blew it. So, heartbreaking way for them to lose against their old teammate Renegade and his new team. But overall, I think they could take that as something to be proud of and something to build on, right, going into the next season of Halo 5 Pro Series. So definitely something to look out for and keep an eye out on that team. I also want to give a shout out to Falling Esports. They didn't make the top 4, but they pushed, who was in their pool? Was it Cloud9, I believe?
It was Flyers, Flyers and KCP, I think.
Yeah. And the 4th team was
Cloud9.
Like it was Cloud9.
Wait.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think it was Cloud9. So they pushed Cloud9. It was inconceivable.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Well, one of the top 3 teams was in their pool. I have the pool. You know what? I'm gonna look it up.
It was inconceivable. You don't even have to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up. I got it right here. It was inconceivable. They pushed inconceivable to a game 5 in their pool, which was impressive. They beat Flyers pretty handedly, but they ended up not making it out of their pool, and they got 3rd. So Falling Esports did well. Flyers, I was hoping to see more out of them. Spartan, the Spartan straight to common leads and Super CC, they kind of fell flat and weren't able to do much. But ultimately, Sentinels, man. Neptune had a bit of a scary moment there in pool play that cost them the first seed in the pool and made them face a tougher Inconceivable rather than KC Pioneers. And, we saw Neptune kind of make I don't want to say an amateur move because he's definitely an established pro player, but we saw him make an inexperienced move at the end of a game 5 that cost them the game. And even importantly, they cost them the series. So they lost the series. They got 2nd in their pool, and it made it a little bit scary because they weren't playing that well. They're going up against a hot Inconceivable team to even make it to the finals. But then Sentinels, and I kept saying it again on the broadcast, I was like, you really see the true Sentinels when they're facing some adversity, right? You really see them take that final boss, step into just dominance whenever their backs are against the wall. And that's exactly what they did. They came out against Inconceivable, and they had a close series against them, but they were able to put them away. And then you saw Cloud9 have that close series against KC Pioneers, and then the 2 juggernauts, right? The Splice, the Tox, the Cloud9, the Sentinels, they met in the grand finals. And Cloud9 started off good. I remember watching that series because Gaskin and Clutch were casting it. And Cloud9 came out in the Strongholds game with like a trip cap. They were up quite a bit. It was like, I don't remember exactly, but it was like 40 to like 10 or something. Like they got out in a hot start quick, but then
I think it was like 70-40 at one point.
Yeah, like it was pretty deep into the game, and Cloud9 was in a good spot. But then Sentinels like flipped the switch. They triple capped. They somehow ended up winning game 1 pretty easily, like 100-80 after they were down by so much. And then they won game 2. So now you're up 2-0. I think they lost the game 3 and then they closed them out in game 4. So I know on Twitter, we saw all the players, Renegade, Stellar, Snakebite, talking about Fissure Oddball, like how we were going to end the tournament on a Fissure Oddball game type and map. I got to say, I agree with them. I don't think that game type should have been in the grand finals of the tournament. And I personally don't think it should even be in the settings. There's already enough game types and game modes, but that's probably a topic for another show, another day. But we saw Sentinels,
topic, but like I feel like with where Halo 5 is in his lifestyle, in his lifespan, sorry, my words, I kind of wish that Halo 5 would have taken up more of that greatest hits approach. We've kind of seen it with them, like putting, taking Refuge out and putting Fathom back in and putting Regret back in. And I would have liked to see Halo 5 kind of take the approach of, hey, what were the best game types we had through our lifestyle span and have it.
Definitely. And we have the season 2 coming up, so we don't know for sure what's going to, maybe, I'm sure they'll take some consideration from their players in the community, and we'll see if they refine some of the game types. But essentially, so Sentinels ended up winning the series 3-1, and just again proving to everyone that they are the best team, no matter the Halo, no matter the year, no matter their fourth, they're the best. I take that back, because Lethal is a really important part of that team, but Neptune's nasty. So shout out to Sentinels. Congratulations again. Cloud9 stepping up and proving they're one of the best teams. So going into season 2 of the Halo 5 Pro Series, I am excited and looking forward to it.
Yeah, Wes, did you want to say something?
I thought it was an odd thing to like see all the backlash from the game mode or the game type that they were like kind of forced to play. It's like that thing has been in Halo 5 for like 2 years now. Like it's no longer like a new game type. I understand it's not a strong game type by any means, but like if that's the first thing that you like jump to, that's just a very odd thing to me. It's not, you didn't see players in Reach like jumping on Element and being like, well, like we lost this like tournament because Element was in the game rotation, and Element Slayer is absolute like the worst thing we've ever played in our lives. You kind of just gotta like, you understand the format and the game modes and the game types that you're about to play going into a tournament. Like
it's not like it was a surprise, right?
Yeah, it's like you're aware of all of this going.
Yeah, and it's because the group of players, like they are the type to just troll and go into Twitter and be, I feel like. Yeah, I agree with you, Wes. Totally. I think it's like, okay, like you've known this is in, we get it. Like it's if they won, I'm sure if Cloud9 had won that game, you maybe wouldn't have seen them on Twitter. But I don't know, because I don't even want to say that, because
it's the same thing as like Echelon Ball being in the first series in group play, and Echelon Ball is a game type, and you see Cloud9 win that. Like that's, in my opinion, like obviously I'm not a pro player in Halo 5, but in my opinion, that game type's just as every bit of bad as Fissure is. And because you won it, you don't see Cloud9 really complaining that that's a game type or.
But inversely to that point, though, you did see Snakebite taking their, so like Snakebite won the game type, but he was still backing Cloud9, saying, "Yeah, I agree, you shouldn't have been there."
Like, but you're almost you're almost forced to do that if you're Snakebite, though. Like I feel,
but
if I'm that game type out.
Yeah, if I'm a pro player, though, I agree. I think ultimately, if you are Cloud9, and I'm not sure if they did or didn't, but the first thing you want to tweet or first thing you want to put out after losing is saying congrats to them and letting them know it's a good series. Maybe later on you can mention, hey, that game type shouldn't have been in.
Maybe the next day.
Yeah, maybe the next day. But ultimately, I do think it is important to, in a professional and mature way, to like let the community of people know that certain things, should be like certain game types should be in, certain game types should be out, to make sure that your voice is heard, right? You don't want to just keep it all under wraps. But I think there's a way to do it, and to lose the series and then immediately be like, LOL, Fissure 2020. It's like that's a bad look, because it's like, all right, man, you lost the series. One of the game types maybe wasn't one that everyone likes, but there's still 4 other game types you could have won on. So give them their props, like say congratulations, and then address it, maybe later. So I think the way you do it is important.
You lost 2 other game types that were,
It's not like it was a best of 5 and all 5 game types were Fissure Oddball.
Yeah, so I agree with that.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on, well, first of all, with Sentinels, man, they put the fear back out there. I felt like they got to that place where we've seen it so many times where they kind of go into this Zen mode where you're just like, oh, they're just doing whatever they want now. Like, you know, and when they get to that place, you're just like, man, they are so unstoppable. And we just saw that. But I wanted to touch on Inconceivable really quick. My question, I guess, for both you, Wes, and Faisal, Wes, if you want to start, is did we see Inconceivable? Do you think that they underperformed on Saturday, or do you think that they've been overperforming the weeks prior? Because I don't think any of us were expecting them to come out in the semifinals.
No, I think that's a underperformance, and I did kind of like think that when I put the tiers in order, like Cloud9, Sentinels, and Inconceivable are all in the same tier, but I do think that Cloud9 and Sentinels have a higher ceiling than what we see Inconceivable have. But Inconceivable seems to always play at a very consistent level. And when I saw the way Sentinels was playing in group play against Cloud9, I honestly thought that we were going to have an Inconceivable Cloud9 finals. I did not think Sentinels was going to be able to play
Inconceivable 3-0 KCP too.
Exactly. Like Inconceivable was playing very well in pool play. I think that like the difference to me was like if you watch the Cloud9, the first series in group play of Cloud9 and Sentinels, like Royal 2 was getting world starred.
He was having bad stats.
And no, like world starred. Like when it was on his screen, he was getting like turned on, and
Jeez.
Royal 2 doesn't get turned on, right?
Yeah.
So it's like what was going on here? And if you play like that against Inconceivable, you are going to lose the series. So I really do think like it takes me back to he stepped it up big time for his team and started playing like he knows he can, and we all know he can. But for Inconceivable, I just don't think like you played against a Sentinels team that was playing extremely well and you lost the series. But that's no knock to them. I think like different day, different series, they always will have an opportunity to beat a Cloud9. They will always have an opportunity to beat Sentinels. Sentinels just played better than them. And I think that they walked away and advanced in the bracket because of it. But I still have a lot of high hopes for this Inconceivable team. I think that they're incredible individuals. They have great teamwork. And I expect them to continue to compete for championships.
What do you think, Faisal? Do you agree with that, or do you feel like they were overperforming prior? Like, what's your take on Inconceivable?
Yeah, I think Inconceivable is a top 3 team, and I think they have a good mix of players, especially the core is Boo Boo and Falcated. Those two are nasty. They're good at Halo 3. They're good at Halo Reach. They're good at Halo 2 Anniversary. They're good at Halo 5. They're going to be great at Infinite. So they're always going to be a problem and a threat. But if we've seen anything in terms of track records and just looking up historic like matches and tournaments, they've always fell short to the Ecos, the Renegades, the Snakebites, the Royal 2s. Like they've always been a bit right below them.
And some days that kind of changed.
Yeah, sure. And that's what I was going to say. And some days, some tournaments, they can take that next step and just be like all on fire and doing crazy efficient objective, hitting Boo Boo, hitting every snipe. Like there are days where that's the case, but it's just the consistency I wish they do it at isn't necessarily there. And maybe it's not consistency isn't even the right word, but when the stakes are the highest, like if they're playing in a championship tournament rather than like a weekly tournament, or if they're playing in like something where all the money's on the line, that's where you see the Ecos and the Renegades and then the Snakebites and the World 2 step up even more. And again, we saw that, right? They did what they were supposed to do. They beat the teams they were supposed to beat, and then they matched up against Sentinels, and Sentinels kind of made not quick work. It was a good series, but they took them out handedly. So
it's a little unfortunate, right? When you win your pool and then you're rewarded by playing Sentinels, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. But we really got to see more out of Bound. Still, I think we saw him struggle in Halo 2 Anniversary when the game was the main game. We saw like he's had success in Halo 5, but that's to the extent of it, and even his success in Halo 5 is like limited. Like they won that HCS tournament before the championships, the latest one. He played well, but other than that, like he has a skill, and obviously Boo Boo and Falcated see something in him, and that's why they've picked him up. But he's gonna really need to become like that Neptune style of player, or like that, just that new kid that's really making a difference on a team. He can't just fit in and hope they'll get by. He has to be better than everyone.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I mean,
like,
they're placing a lot of trust in him, right? Like they had so many options and picks of like different top players, and they chose Bound specifically. So they're putting a lot of trust on him.
Definitely. So we got to see more out of him, and we'll see. You know, that we got another season or another few weeks of this Halo 5 Pro Series coming up for season 2. We're gonna have another championship tournament, and that'll solidify, you know, Halo 5 in 2020. Right now, Sentinels is still on top, and we'll see how it ends.
I think we do have to briefly touch on the fact that Faisal, as far as I'm concerned, you might be the first person to beat Wes in predictions for the way the tournament's going to play out.
What is beating?
I mean, we had our predictions.
If we want to go this route, this could be a very dangerous route for y'all to go down, because there is an entire On My X episode where I'm trying to convince you guys who the top 4 teams in the world are. And for some reason, some of these teams that didn't even win games in their pool play matches were being pushed into the top 4 and had the potential to make bracket play.
Wes, didn't we talk about taking your L with grace, Wes? I mean, just accept the fact that
this is not an L. This is a win.
Faisal basically nailed the entire prediction for the tournament.
Even in that episode that Wes is talking about, I was giving the platform to these teams like the Fallings and the Flyers. But to be fair, I ended my statement with saying I still think KC Pioneers will be the 4th team. I'm just saying I think some of these other teams can beat them, and we saw that with Falling Esports take them to a game 5. So I did put KCP in that 4th spot. I just said they didn't have that, you know, I was questioning.
Faisal, take your dub, bro. Take your dub. Don't feed into this nonsense. You absolutely crushed it.
This is how I look at it. Okay, it's like we know who the top 3 teams are. That's easy. I predicted the 2 teams in the finals. I mean, that's a coin toss. We saw them play twice that day. Each team won 1 series. So if you're better at winning coin tosses, then so be it. But the top 4 teams in order were exactly what I told you they were. And I'm sorry I can't predict the coin toss of the finals. I knew both teams are great. I knew it was going to come down to who was making the best plays. And unfortunately, Cloud9 wasn't able to repeat their same performance that they did in in pool play. But I mean, that's just how it's going to always play out. Like those two, it's like straight ripping triggers down. You put them in the finals, one of them's going to win, one of them's going to lose, but you know it's going to be a good series.
Faisal, this man just took your dub and reduced it down to a coin toss.
It's all good, man. Wes knows the deal. Wes knows the deal.
But
I mean, go back and watch the tape. I literally tried to preach to you guys how good Kansas City Pioneers were. Like that's the actual prediction that you can mess up. That is not just a coin toss. That's like where it comes to actual knowledge and knowing the scene.
Okay. So 4th place now matters more than who actually is going to win the whole damn thing. I got
just having a good understanding of what the scene is in its current form, and in its current form, Cloud9 and Sentinels are going to trade series off every time they play each other. We saw it Saturday. It's being able to know that Flyers isn't going to win a series in their pool, and that Kansas City Pioneers is gonna easily make it out of this pool. It
wasn't easy to be clear. It wasn't easy for them, and even still, I going into next season, that 4th spot is still up to take. I'm still standing strong in that position. Yeah, KC Pioneers had a good series against Cloud9, but they also had some tough series against Falling in the pool, and I still think that
actually put up the best fight, which is a big shout out to them. It's unfortunate we didn't get to really see any of their games on stream, because I want to be able to pay attention to that team in the future for sure.
It was interesting. Sorry, just to touch on Falling. That was actually, I set my alarm. I woke up early because I was like, oh man, like Flyers is going to play Falling first. Like this is going to be a huge series in the pool. I turn on the stream, and the guys on Flyers, they come out and they 3-0 Falling on Fathom Flag in like probably 2 minutes to start the series, and then get blown out the next 3 games. And I was like, oh shoot, like this team, they're no joke, man. Like they're there to play. They know how to, and the fact they were able to bounce back after losing like that early on, and then still had some crazy series in their pool. I mean, those guys are right there. And that's the thing. I think we're seeing that competition gap kind of close a bit, whereas the top 3 teams have sort of separated and established themselves, with the exception, I mean, KCP, like I said, when they're playing at that level, we saw it. They can almost beat anyone. A couple costly mistakes on a Plaza Strongholds, and we're talking about an entire different play out of the way the tournament would have went, So we're definitely in an exciting time, and I know it's awesome for those Halo 5 guys who have been grinding to have a bone throw their way to be able to play, in another season. Who knows what we're going to see, right? So looking forward to that.
Definitely. So yeah, I think we touched on all the Halo 5 championships, and we already talked about the Halo 3 Pro Series tournament. And just to kind of finish off today's episode, we are going to quickly discuss or give props, I guess, to the winner of the Esports Arena tournament, which was I forgot their team name.
Team Alleyways is what
Alleyways, that's what it was. It's Boo Boo Doo Boo, Trippy, Neptune, and Frosty, and they dominated. That's a nasty squad.
That's a nasty team. I don't want to come around a corner and see any of those guys in front of me. Period.
I don't want to go down any dark alleys and see those guys playing Halo 5.
Yeah. And we got to give props to the LATAM team, right, for getting second as well.
Exactly, Justin. And shout out to the team LATAM. Drift, Atso, Tapping Buttons, and Hello, yeah, those guys they've been nasty, especially Tapping Button, and he's had a lot of trust in his teammates since the start of Halo 5, and they're a nasty team as well. They came out, and the Latin America team made it to the grand finals, right, going up against the players like Trippy, Frosty, Neptune, Boo Boo. Like that's a pretty big accomplishment, and props to them.
That Drift kid can play some Halo too. He's always impressing me whenever I get the opportunity to cast those Esports Arena tournaments and whatnot. I think Drift is somebody to pay attention to too, just to point him out on that team. I think he has a lot of individual skill, and even when he plays some of the best in the world, like he's still hitting his shots. So big shout out to those guys, like you said, Faisal. Last remarks, anybody? We got Sentinels on top once again. Cloud9, actually, it's good to see them back play at a high level.
Yeah, they're a nasty squad.
They've been missing. They've been missing in action for what feels like almost a year now, right?
I think we're going to see them in the finals of a lot of these this next season of the H5 Pro Series. I think they're going to see them win at least a couple of them, and I think like of those weekly ones, and I think we're going to see them be in the top 2 like consistently.
I'm a big Kevin Eco fan, and I'm happy to see him back kind of where he belongs. I wasn't sure if we were going to see it until Infinite, but we're kind of seeing it now, and that gets me excited.
I got a lot of love for all those guys. Penguin had a great tournament last weekend, and I really think that that's why Cloud9 found themselves in the finals. It's unfortunate they weren't able to win that thing, because I know he was playing at such a high level, but if he's able to kind of repeat that performance, to y'all's point, I think we're going to see a lot more of Cloud9 and some highlights from them later on in these tournaments. We're going to be closing this episode 14 out here for On My X, but first I'm going to let Faisal knock your plugs out.
Yeah, just quickly, guys, thank you again for sticking with us, with all these episodes. We hope you guys have been enjoying them. We still have so much more to bring. We're doing some commentary stuff. We're bringing out new episodes. So we're just trying to grow and keep the community growing with us. So be sure to leave comments, tweets, replies. Just try to interact with us in any way and interact with the show. We're just going to keep growing and hopefully bring on some more pro players and more people to interview on the episodes and just to kind of bring you guys more content. But with that being said, you can find me on Twitch streaming pretty much every single day, twitch.tv/goofy. And on Twitter, my @ is ggoofy. But that's going to do it for me.
Hunter.
Yes, sir. As always, Twitter and Twitch, Hunter_JJX, streaming every single day. I got to echo what Faisal said. Thank you so much, guys, for continuing to support our show here and our channel. We're damn near, if not at 500 subs on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we're going to keep pushing this thing. Thank you guys so much for subbing, commenting, continuing to support us. We've got a lot more awesome guests lined up as well as topics we're going to be covering, so really looking forward to the future of On My X, and I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to do this thing at a live event. That'll be a lot of fun. So, Wes,
or even just when Infinite's coming around, man. When Infinite's out, we're gonna have some fire episodes.
We're gonna have some content for days. So, Wes, dude, let us know what you're up to. Where can we find you?
Yeah, Wes_Clutch on Twitter, Wes Price with 2 E's on the gram. And then I've already got some rumblings from one of these top pro players, perhaps a multi-time champion that he wants to be on the show. So we're going to have to get him as a special guest on the show as soon as we can. He's been asking me to do it for a couple of weeks. I'm like, it's not your time. It's not your time. Actually,
we got a wait list.
I think it's the perfect time to bring him on for this next episode. So I'm excited to bring that guest on for you guys. But for now, episode 14, we're out.
Peace.